burners. Them niggas was ready to fight, whatever they had to do, Holmes. Them niggas was on the real flip mode, Holmes. They was coming out like a motherfucker. The nigga was amped. He was like, come on, motherfucker. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Yeah. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Release the brainstorm to make your motherfucking brain warm. A strange form, something kinda lyrical. Biggie the bastard, so that's kinda spiritual. Well, in God we trust, guns I bust, got that disgusting suicide thumping. And do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that I bring? I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8, 38s, 9, 9, 10 Mac 10s. The shits never end. You can't touch my riches, even if you had MC Hammer and them 357 bitches. Biggie Smalls, the millionaire, the mansion, the yacht, the 2 weed spots, the 2 hot clocks. That's how I got the weed spot. I shot Tread in the head, took the bread and the lamb spread. Little Gotti got the shotty to your body, so don't resist or you might miss Christmas. I tote guns, I make number runs, I give MCs the runs dripping. When I throw my clip in the AK, I slay from far away. Everybody hit the DECK. My slow flow's remarkable. Peace to Mateo. Now we smoke weed like Tony Montana slipped the yayo. That's crazy blunts, mad L's. My voice excels from the avenue to jail cell. Oh my God, I'm dropping shit like a pigeon. I hope you're listening. Smacking babies that they clipping. So you better grab your pistol, cause if you sit still, I'm gonna make your fucking shit spill. And I'm talking about buckets. Why did I have to do it? So that said, fuck it. You gotta go, nigga, bust it. Cause I got more shots to pop ya. Big mouth, breaking your own something proper. Signing off is the hardcore rap singer, aka crack slinger, bring it anytime. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. 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 So you wanna be hardcore with your hat to the back, talking about the gats in your raps, but I can't feel that hardcore appeal that you're screaming. Maybe I'm dreaming. This ain't Christopher Williams, still some MC got to feel one. Perhaps I got to feel some to let niggas know that if you fuck with big and heavy, I get up in that ass like the wedgie. Niggas saying Biggie off the street, it's a miracle. Left the drugs alone, took the thugs along with me. Just for niggas acting shifty, sticks and stones, break bones, but they gotta kill you quicker. Especially when I'm drunk off the liquor. Smoking funk by the boxes, packing boxes. Natural to eat your niggas like chocolate. The funk, baby. All I want is bitches, big booty bitches. Used to sell crack so I can stack my riches. Now I pack cats to stop all the snitches from staying in my business. What is this? Relentless approach to know if I'm broke or not. Just cause I smoke a lot don't mean I don't tote the block. 16 shots for my niggas in the pen until we motherfucking meet again. I'm doing rhymes, I'm knee deep in the beats. In the Land Cruiser Jeep with the Mac 10 by the seats. For the jackals, the jealous ass crackers in the blue suits. I make you prove that it's bulletproof. Hold your head, cause when you hit the bricks, I got gin mad blunts. And bitches sucking dick, the funk, baby. The funk, baby.
switch that off. Hello, Internet. And this is your favorite podcast at your favorite time with your favorite podcast here.
Why did you
SneakyDevil.
fucking go Southern?
Yeah, because I could.
Don't. Your Southern accent is horrible and defensive.
No. It's not horrible, actually. Max can attest to that.
Max, quick, lie.
Doesn't mean it's not offensive.
That was more of a country accent than a southern.
Yeah, it's more
saying.
Texas-y, Midwestern.
Okay,
Yeah.
Texas is, by definition, part of the South.
Okay, see.
Texas will debate you on that.
I was about to say, this isn't a matter of saying you're right or wrong. This is a matter of I don't want to piss Texas off, so please be quiet.
Texas can suck my dick.
This just in, breaking news. Texas invades Illinois.
Aye, maybe our gun crime will go down.
It's Texas. It's going to raise.
No. The crime. I'm not saying the rate of shootings will go down, Max. I'm saying the crime will go down. There'll be perfectly legal shootings.
Oh, I don't think we can drop our ratings any lower.
Since you don't seem to care, why should I?
The complete state are just Texans, and is it female Texans or the whole of Texas? What? Why?
What?
Are you Calvin, why are you like this?
Calvin,
Is he
that's
even
some
asking.
That's
I don't
some
know,
weird stuff you're asking.
I think Calvin wants to gather a harem. I think that's what's going on here. Anyway, so the first fic of the day, which can be found in the Discord down below, but as always, per Twitch guidelines, I am required to remind you all that you cannot at any point in time contact the authors featured here in this podcast, because that would constitute as harassment, which
Don't
would
do that.
be against Twitch guidelines.
Also, morally wrong.
Anyway, so this is duel, all capital letters. Make sure to put the emphasis on it by shouting it.
I'm sorry, did you say that it's time to...
No, I just said duel. Not it's time to.
I know, but if we have to put emphasis on duel, we pretty much have to do that Yu-Gi-Oh quote.
Okay, yeah, but you also have to have a seizure to do it properly, so...
It's time to duel!
What if
That's the
when
best I got.
Draco challenged Harry to a duel at the beginning of first year, it had a lot more significance than either realized? A duel not only for bragging rights, but for the injustice and eventual love. Harry Harem. Now, it's possible that we had covered this story back in the days before we recorded every single story we covered, but also possibly unlikely. So we're just gonna go forward because I don't remember anything about this. You two don't remember anything about this. So we're just gonna pretend like we absolutely, definitely have not covered this before.
I mean, I never listened to you reading this stuff. I only ever listened to you reading the summaries.
That's fair enough.
I don't even remember covering it, but that may have been done for my own safety.
Albus Dumbledore sat in his office, currently still reflecting on the recent student additions to Hogwarts, particularly Harry Potter and what his future held. From what little he had already gleaned from the boy earlier through asking the staff, or of a slight amount of legitimacy he had performed on him, gave him an idea that Harry was a good kid and quite intelligent despite his apparent lack of knowledge on the wizarding world.
Can I point out how problematic it is that they never told teachers they can't just mind read the children, and that there was never a law against mind reading minors?
Oh, well, you see, the problem with the whole enacting a law to prevent the mind reading of minors is that Dumbledore controls the laws.
I mean, ostensibly, isn't it a bunch of idiots who control the laws?
Yes, but he's the leader of half of the, not half, I would say like about a third of the voting factions, and
That's
also the basically Speaker of the House and head of Senate at the same time. And head judge, I think. Possibly.
It's almost like there are problems when you don't have term limits.
Yeah, it's almost like there's problems when there isn't even such thing as a term.
That's true.
Yeah.
Plus, we can't forget the fact that they, much like the elves, live for fucking ever. We could, like, at least in America, like, we can just wait for senators to just die of old age.
I mean, I suppose, yes.
No, like, I'm saying, like, some guy keeps getting voted into office because nobody's running against him. At some point, that person will die from old age, and someone else will have to replace them.
How would Brexit factor into Hogwarts? Well, if we're gonna go with J.K. Rowling's current modifications to Hogwarts, I don't know. They'd probably be filled with refugees. And they're very pro-union, and I don't know. Honestly, couldn't tell you. Don't care. Yeah. So let's just keep going then. So he read Harry Potter's mind, and he hoped that he would be able to improve over time and live out the destiny that he, Dumbledore the Great, had in mind for him. Yet, as he was still thinking about how he, Dumbledore the Great, would handle the future savior of the wizarding world, the alarm that he had set to tell him that he, Dumbledore the Great, was coming up to the stairs of the office went off. A quick look at the stairs revealed that it was none other than Pansy Parkinson, a young new first year that he recognized already by having numerous visits with her father, a very influential and wealthy man, but whose loyalties were always unclear, particularly during the war with Voldemort. Since Voldemort's fall, he had worked hard to cull favor with him, as it would be necessary to garner his approval if he was to have success in passing certain laws in the Wizengamot or voting down ones he did not want passed. Currently, there were two major parties, and let's just start talking about random political shit. You know, doesn't everyone just think about that? You know, like, oh, hey, it's that person. Oh, yes, the United States Senate works as the following.
I mean, listen, as a proper American, I am at all times thinking about the checks and balances of my wonderful government, and ready to break into song as per Schoolhouse Rock.
What's the Wizengamot? My dude, you really gotta read Harry Potter.
No, he doesn't.
No, you really don't, but I'm not gonna answer the question. If you haven't picked up from the fact that I'm saying U.S. Congress and House of Representatives and Senate, whenever I'm talking about the Wizengamot, I fear for you. I fear for you and your educational system.
Because obviously you should know about America's system of government, since we are the most important country.
Exactly. We are the cultural hegemon of the world.
And if you don't like that, give back McDonald's. And KFC. And Pizza Hut. And the list goes on. And Chick-fil-A. And Five Guys.
And trains.
I don't think Chick-fil-A has gone outside of the States.
And the internet. We'll take that back, too.
Yes.
Guys,
Actually, we will
literally-
take back the internet. That one's non-negotiable. Just give us the internet back.
Look, help us kick Japan off and you get to keep your part of it, okay?
It's a magician Bunderstag. I have no idea what the fuck you just said, but sure.
That's the
Sorry,
German
what?
equivalent to parliament, Sneaky. How do you not know that?
Because I don't care about Germany. No one should care about Germany. Unless it's how to suppress Germany. That's the only time you should care about Germany. Why not just say parliament?
Because they're German, you idiot! They did! They just said it in German!
This is an American server!
I'm gonna laugh if this
Don't worry,
particular
Calvin.
stream is
Not all
actually being
Americans
routed
are
through like
horribly ignorant about other people's systems of
Yeah.
This is
government.
an American server, even though a majority of our viewers are not American.
In the
The-
slightest.
The only thing that can make this better is if the stream is actually being routed through like a European server and not a local server here.
Well, I mean, the stream is streaming on Chicago, so I really doubt that. Which, surprisingly, Chicago has been more reliable in terms of connection status than New York has.
Damn straight it has.
Which is weird because New York is supposed to be one of the global hubs for the internet. You would think it'd be more stable.
Yep.
No.
That sounds like it makes sense, and therefore cannot possibly be true.
Yeah, I guess.
Sneaky, come on, you worked in IT for a short time.
Yeah, I know.
You should know this.
Look, man,
What makes
I
sense is not
know.
what we do. I mean, I'm just saying that a Chromebook being able to not lose its own password is something that should not happen, yet I see it on a weekly basis in the school system.
Wait, what do you mean it lost its own password?
Very common issue with the Chrome OS. Occasionally, it doesn't sync correctly with the servers and thinks that the student is logging in with a different password and asks them to put in their old password, which was never changed.
Yeah. They
Chrome.
it's good shit. No, it's great shit. It's just like, why did we do X? Oh, well, you see, Y wasn't working. Why wasn't Y working? I don't fucking know. It was plugged into Ethernet port 11 instead of 12. Well, why does that matter? I don't know.
Fuck if I know.
Ask the computer, not me.
Hey, computer. Why do you just hate port 11? Port 11 killed my parents. Okay then.
That answers that.
I wasn't aware computers had parents.
Anyway, let's see. Led by Lucius Malfoy and then blah 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 blah. Political crap. Parkinson's the other leader. Blah blah blah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, sorry. And then there was the neutral party, led by Parkinson.
Okay.
Yes. They were the swing votes because they were so neutral. What drives a man to neutrality? Were they born with a heart full of neutral? Anyway. Blah blah, daughter was coming to see him, was curious. Enter, Professor Dumbledore, I need to speak with you. Alright, I'll help you. Okay, well, I know you are a man who has lots of power and influence, and I need you to do something for me that won't be necessary for both of us. You see, I have been recently informed that my father has made a marriage contract with me and myself and Draco Malfoy. Okay, so first off, I have never heard a 10-year-old talk like that.
Literally no 10-year-old
I mean, I
like
guess
that.
British 10-year-olds who are trying to sound really posh would talk like that. But I
I don't
personally
think
have
so.
never encountered a 10-year-old that talks like that. Then again, I did basically grow up in...
You
bad
grew up
areas.
in Jersey.
Yeah.
The closest you got to sophisticated talk was someone using words with what? 3 vowels?
2
4?
syllables. Look, man, I was voted weirdest kid in my school because I read a book.
I mean, everybody thought I was going to shoot up the school because I ate lunch alone and liked reading books, so that's not unique.
I have never talked to any retarded 10-year-olds, so me neither, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure why being mentally challenged would cause you to talk very posh-like at a 10 years older than you really are age,
Yeah.
but sure. What did you read to get voted weirdest kid? Mein Kampf? No. Wizards at War series, I believe, was the book series I was reading that year. Wow, I actually still remember the name of that fucking series. Damn.
What series?
Wizards at War.
Hmm.
It's a book series about children using the power of the imagination to
Oh,
literally
yes,
use
yes,
magic.
yes, you told me. And the
Yeah.
younger you are, the more powerful a magician you are, because blah, 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 blah.
Imagination. And that awarded you weird kid? Well, yeah, because my area didn't read books, my dude. It's not America, it's New Jersey. It's specifically southern New Jersey. And where we try to be the South, but everyone just pretends we're still part of New Jersey.
Because you are still part of New Jersey. I'm sorry to have
That
to be
is
the
a
one to tell
lie.
you
We are
this.
not affiliated with Central Jersey.
You seem to forget about the existence of Southern Illinois, which temporarily becomes this, like, until you get back to Indiana, you are temporarily in the South, the deep South.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like, I am talking, it is like the fucking Shining down there.
God. Anyway. Blah, blah. At this news, Dumbledore was quite dismayed, as it probably meant his efforts to pull Mr. Parkinson to his side were for naught, as making a marriage contract with his daughter to Malfoy's son was tantamount to making an allegiance with him. This would be another vote he could now count on going against him.
It's not tantamount to. They operate on literally medieval laws. It is.
Yes. I am sorry to hear that, Miss Parkinson. I see, every single time I say Parkinson, I just get reminded of Parkinson's disease, and I
Yeah, I
think
was
everyone's dumb.
for a second I thought we were talking about the disease. I was like, a disease is leading a faction, eh? Whatever, J.K. Rowling.
Atin is too bland to quantify.
What? What the heck? Jesus. Well, I mean, I don't feel as bad because you said nobody cares about Max, so that hurts a little bit less, but still.
Neat.
Who pissed in your Cheerios this morning?
I don't know. Well, he said it himself. If it's offensive, he's all about it.
Anyway.
Mentioned that in the chat earlier this week.
Wait, me or Arn?
Arn.
Yeah.
Sneaky,
Yes.
you're a special something. You don't care if it's offensive or not. You just care if you can get entertainment out of it.
Exactly. Which usually ends up being offensive.
More often than not, to the common sense, yes.
Now, to be fair, part of that is because sometimes he says incredibly stupid things.
Blah, 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 blah. I hoped that your father would choose to go against Lucius, but I hear it was wrong. That's not all. He's gotten Davis, Greengrass, Lee, Chang, Paisley, and Crowder to go with him. Now he really sat back in his chair. I love how this 10-year-old is informing Dumbledore about political movements. Like, she's like, oh yeah, this is terrible. This is downright awful. This is horrendous. Dumbledore, you have to stop my father from doing the things he legally has the right to do as the leader of our family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the laws that you keep in place have had full control over for the past 20 years.
And could have done something about it literally any time.
That sounds like it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, which is why he didn't do it. Can I ask you why you're telling me all of this? Your father would no doubt be furious if he found out about this. My father will never suspect me. He believes I am a naive little girl, but what he doesn't know is I'm actually a time traveler.
You know what? I'll take time traveler over 10,000-year-old stuck in a 10-year-old's body.
I was joking about the time traveling, by the way, but you all thought it was true.
You were. Here's the thing. I know you were joking about time travel, but I'm just saying, given the level of nonsense we receive from Japan,
My father will never suspect me because he believes I'm a naive little girl. He doesn't even bother to check to see if I'm listening in on him, because I'm fucking 10. As for why I am telling you, it's simply because I am a political mastermind, and I wish to get out of his grips, and I do not want to be married to Malfoy.
I mean, also, most parents just assume their 10-year-old is listening in.
They treat me like a slave, and I hate Malfoy. And I have nothing against lesser blood purity and other philosophical arguments, and I'd rather not have persecutions be in the laws because of me. Deepest 10-year-old in existence.
Apparently.
I admire this, but why do you want me to... Well, what do you want me... What would you have me do to prevent this? What would you have me do to prevent this? Dumbledore, the 130-year-old man of experienced political potlicking since 1960, asks the 10-year-old.
What to do.
I'm unsure here. I'm unsure if I want a mastermind manipulative Dumbledore, or I want this apparently retarded puppet Dumbledore, who is so mentally disabled that he has to ask a 10-year-old for advice on how to do political maneuvering. I'm not sure which is worse, honestly, at this point.
They're both equally offensive, just for different reasons.
Yeah,
and by
pretty much.
offensive, I mean offensive to my sensibilities as a reader.
I want you to annul my contract because he has the power to do that? And it has to be because of something Draco does. If it's something that I do, then my father will be shamed, and as per contract, he'll be obligated to give his seat to Malfoy. But that is... What kind of... How much is your father being paid? Because those terms in that contract are... yeah, what I want you to do is you give me your daughter. And if you refuse to give me your daughter later on after signing this contract, I get your daughter anyway, and I get your seat anyway. Okay, what are you giving me? Nothing.
And he better be getting, like, a horse made of gold that will produce golden children for him to sell.
Okay, the only thing I've learned about this man is apparently he doesn't know how to read contracts.
Also a terrible negotiator.
I kind of like to think that goes hand in hand with not knowing how to read contracts.
I mean, I'm sure you're right. It's like, you don't ever let the party barbarian do the haggling. That's a bad idea.
No, you always let the party barbarian do the haggling, as long as you're okay with never coming back to that town.
No, well, okay, it depends on if they made into Dumpstat or not.
Well, no, that's why you just use intimidation.
I mean, depending on how dumb they are, they might not realize they're getting ripped off.
I guess. You obviously underestimate... Oh my god. Our chat sometimes.
Yeah, chat's just been talking back and forth.
If I had someone I trust and possessed knowledge of magical law to look over the contract and they found it will only be voided because of something Draco or his father did, you could, for example, expel him from Hogwarts, and that would give me the opportunity to claim he is no longer a valid candidate for my husband. I'm afraid you overestimate...
Wouldn't he just go to one of the other fucking schools?
Yes. I'm afraid you overestimate my capabilities. Like, I believe it was... Didn't Draco say that his father was looking to putting him into Durmstrang at one point, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason he ended up staying at Hogwarts is because Hogwarts was still more prestigious, because it was Hogwarts.
First of all, Lucius Malfoy is one of the school governors, and I find it very unlikely he would allow his son to be expelled.
He doesn't have a say. You're the headmaster. Like, just tell him his son was caught cheating. Boom. Son gone.
Your son was caught cheating while, raping a girl. Yeah, he's expelled. I mean, they have memories nowadays, so, I mean, in Harry Potter, so I guess it would be a little bit hard to be like, oh, yeah, your son did X, Y, Z, and it's just like, memory time. Well, the memories say it didn't happen.
They can just but you can give him fake memories, or obliviate everybody's memories from
supposedly, obliviates and fake memories show up as fakes and obliviates. Supposedly. Wait,
Supposedly.
is this dual? Yes, this is dual. And hello, new person. Welcome to this.
Hello, new person.
Watch as we
you should run.
Scrabble for like the next hour and 30 minutes over completely pointless things. Let's see.
New person apparently recognizes the story.
Yes, new person has read this entire story, and I have to say I feel bad for you. And if you liked this story, then I really feel bad for you because clearly somewhere along the line your developmental growth was stunted.
Good job, Sneaky. Insult the new person. That'll get him to stick around.
I will. I mean, we're gonna spend like the next 30 minutes ragging on about how awful the first chapter is. So if they don't appreciate me telling them that their opinion is wrong about this story, if they say it's good, then there's really no reason for them to stick around.
There is. Stick around for us to tell you that other stories are bad, that hopefully you dislike.
Yeah.
It was my early fanfiction career. At the time, I was reading HP more and 3 to Backstep. Ooh, yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. There is, looking at my old favorites, there is definitely some stories in there I look back on and I go, what the fuck was I thinking favoriting this?
Like, some you go back and you see, it has terrible grammar, but it was okay. And there are others you go back and you look at it and you're like, I was drunk.
Clearly I was stunted mentally when I was reading this. I mean, it's also a case of I had way more time back then, far less cares, I could say, being that I didn't
Max,
have
is
bills.
Sneaky Robot for you?
He is a little.
That's just Discord.
Okay. I was gonna say, because everybody's gone a little robot-y for me. And I was like, is Steam downloading a game? To which the answer was no.
No, it's just Discord shitting the bed. Anyway.
As usual.
So, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Besides, if your father wrote this contract, I would say he's already decided that you're going to marry him. Pansy nodded as if she expected such answers from Dumbledore. I don't think my father wants to join Malfoy, but he needs a new supplier of Dragonhide, and he wants me to be married to the highest and most noble house he can find, which happens to be the Malfoys. Yeah.
Wouldn't he be better off trying to marry you off to Dumbledore at that point?
I mean, look, last names were kind of a big indicator of what you did or what your family is known for, and B, actions your ancestors had taken. Like Malfoy, for example, means liar in French. Canonically, the Malfoy family was kicked out of France and called liars.
And that they were literally everyone would know they were first name and the liar.
Yes.
They must have some excellent PR.
Bad faith. Sorry, bad faith. My apologies.
Bad faith.
Still, it's not a positive moniker.
It's not even a neutral moniker. Like, oh, that's John the Baker. Yeah, well, I guess he's a baker.
That's Draco of Bad Faith. Oh. But, yeah. So,
Also, I'm sorry, Bad Faith sounds like a shitty guild.
You know what? That's the name of the guild we should make whenever we do an MMO together. 30 years
Bad
down
Faith.
the line. Yeah, Bad Faith.
Why not?
The story gets worse from chapter 1. Oh, Jesus.
How?
Oh. That's not something you ever want to hear in a story.
Well, I mean, that just continues to prove my sign-off correctly about there's always being more and it always gets worse. I seem to remember the ending being a battle between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, who were fighting for immortality. What? And Harry was
Seems
just
legit.
there.
Seems
Oh boy.
legit.
I know he's tried to make a marriage contract with the Potters before they die, but apparently they made one with the Boneses already. Okay. The only person that was supposed to know about the marriage contract between Susan and Harry Potter was the Melia, who had taken over as the head of House Bones and had chosen to honor the original agreement. She had been a huge support to him in the Wizengamot, and he had also suspected that she had told Susan but asked her not to tell Harry, for which he was grateful. Not tell Harry he's going to be forced into a marriage with someone?
That seems suspicious.
Can't you do something? Pansy pleaded. Dumbledore sat back in his chair, once again to think about this troubling news. He simply could not afford to lose Parkinson to Lucius, but he could also not think of a way to convince him otherwise, since the marriage contract would force his hand either way. If he had known beforehand that he might have been able to do something, even if he had to, as Harry's legal magical guardian, sign another marriage contract with Parkinson to marry his daughter off to Harry, but now it was too late. The only ways he decided would either be for Malfoy to choose to break the contract, which was doubtful if the contract assured him of Parkinson's support and majority in the Wizengamot, or if he gambled it away somehow. Only a fool would take such a risk. It did not look good. I don't know, when was this written? This was written in 2013, 2014. When was Fate's Gamble written?
Good question.
Uh, 2013, 2014. Okay, so it was not a commentary. For a second there, I thought it was shade being thrown at Fate's Gamble because of that's exactly what happened at one arc in where Lucius gambled a slave contract or something of Harry's Guardians.
Yes. Oh god, that was so dumb.
What?
Yeah.
It was so stupid.
So basically, the premise of that arc was that Lucius sent a contract that was charmed to cut the person holding it. And the contract is worded that if you put your drop of blood on this piece of paper, you agree to the contract. And because the Harry's Guardians, which were the sisters of Medusa from Myth, from the Fate version of
Right.
Myth, because they weren't considered human, they didn't have rights to themselves or something like that. And so when she picked up the contract that said basically she would become a slave in terms of mind, body, and soul to Draco, she was forced to accept it because the contract cut her and put blood on the contract. And so then Harry gambled his other guardian, which is the other sister, against Lucius's contract with the first sister in a duel to see who got both contracts. Or some shit like that.
That
Yeah.
that seems real stupid.
It was dumb.
It was
dumb.
very dumb. But I think the only reason I remember is because I just sat there thinking, like, why is it going this way? This is stupid. Why would this make any sense in any world?
Back
Like,
in the
that's
day
just-
when I had no taste and still liked Fate's Gamble.
And I still don't know if I like it or hate it.
Yeah, same. At one point later on in Duel, Harry saves Fleur and Gabriel from slavers and buys their slave contracts from their dad since you can't cancel those. Turns out these contracts make any command impossible to disobey, and then Harry promises to never ever do that.
Hey, here's your command. Ignore every other command I give you.
Honestly, I would never do that because if you're gonna be in a situation where you have people gunning for you, and there's a spell out there that can mind control people, and you
Okay,
have
yes.
terrorists who would use that on people close to you, if you had the ability to just circumvent the drama of begging your loved one to not shoot you, and you can just give them the command, "Don't shoot me," and then
Hey.
they can't shoot you. You know, I'm just saying.
That is probably one of the most Machiavellian things I've ever heard from you.
I'm neutral on whether Fate's Gamble is good or not. It has lots of flaws, but also has its merits. I do love what me reading Fate's Gamble has led to. Yeah, that's fair enough. Back then they got the Hidden Vila City. Ah, yes! The Hidden Vila City, filled with Vila, with a Vila matriarch. Yes, I always do love when the story goes in that direction. And by love, I mean despise. But, you know. Let's continue. So, at this news, Dumbledore was sad. I'm sorry to hear that, Parkinson. I hope your father would choose, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you already did that. Blah, suspect me, capabilities, can't you do something? The only way, blah, blah. However, he can at least deal with the problem of the young girl before him. Who else knows about this? No one. I didn't tell anyone anything. Good. Obliviate! I don't know why he screamed "Obliviate" at the top of his lungs, but I guess it was necessary.
Because the louder you scream it, then like the more powerful it. Like the farther back you can erase their memories. If you
Yes,
scream
of
it
course.
loud enough, you can erase their memories of being alive.
I wonder what happens when you do that. Instantly, Pansy's gaze grew all misty and unfocused as he removed all memories of their conversation. Harry being betrothed to Susan Bones and anything else he thought she shouldn't know.
Guess we have evil Dumbledore.
I guess it's evil, Dumbledore. He replaced the memory with her having a conversation with him about a requested change to the school robe policy. What? Once he finished, He allowed her to come to and said, "I'm sorry, Miss Parkinson, but I'm afraid I can't change what is allowed at school. Thank you for your time." "Ah, yes, of course. Sorry, Professor. I'll see myself out." She seemed confused as to why she would make the request, but using legitimacy, she, legitimacy, whatever the fuck, I'm gonna call it mind reading from now on. Fuck it. Has confirmed that she was still accepting the false memory as true. He usually tried to avoid modifying memories, as that led to asking questions, but it was for the greater good.
The third most dangerous phrase mankind has ever invented, right behind "hold my beer" and "I bet you can't do that."
Oh, I thought the most dangerous phrase was going to be, "but that wasn't real communism."
No, that just falls under a subset of "hold my beer."
That's fair enough. Let's see. He had to come up with a solution to this problem. Chapter 1, Duel. So that was the prologue. We just spent 45 minutes ranting about the prologue. Jesus Christ.
Why are they talking about polygamy in the chat?
Because Harry gets a harem. Ah, yes, the spy networks of paintings, of course. His spy network of paintings. Painting were useful spies, because they were all absolutely loyal to him, and nobody looked at a painting as if it was spying on them.
Also, side note, I think my favorite thing from Inquisitor Caro was him making a painting and that of like his battle brothers and his battle brothers terrifying the shit out of the other paintings.
Ah, yes. Yes, that was... I did like that, yes.
Also, the one painting starting a fucking church for the Emperor.
I mean, why not?
Just the idea of a painting starting a church amuses me.
I mean, 40K.
I'm aware.
Blah, 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 blah. Alright. Dumbledore, Draco, Harry Potter duel, where he left. It seemed to be a heaven send, because wizard duels were challenges made by him 30 seconds earlier. What do you want, Malfoy? Better mind your manners, Weasley. I'm gonna duel Harry. See me in the trophy room. Crab. Did I hear something about a wizard's duel? Dumbledore says, out of breath. Of course not, Professor. Well, it appears I must have misheard you then. My ears aren't what it used to be. Isn't fighting not allowed in school? I know I heard him. Mr.
Except,
Malfoy has
when
done
Snape
nothing
allows
wrong.
it.
Yeah. Mr. Malfoy does nothing wrong. A wizard's duel is actually allowed based on school rules, though usually the death clause is amended to a lesser state of lacking capacity to duel, as to be officiated by the current headmaster, of course. It has fallen out of use, however, and at your age it's very uncommon. So if you really are intent on challenging Mr. Harry Potter here, I would love to officiate the duel. Like...
Hey Max, are you dead?
No, I'm here.
Max is just slowly dying in the background. Sad Max sounds.
I decided it was far more worth my time to see if I could break Extella's leveling system with cheat engine.
What?
Instead of
Why
listening to
not
this
just
drivel.
give yourself levels at that point? Like, why bother seeing why bother to see if you can break the system? Just use cheat engine to give yourself levels. What's the difference?
Because Max likes a challenge.
That's part of what I'm doing. I'm trying to nail down the XP bar. I literally just found the levels. Just looking for the XP bar now. I get bored.
Anyway, If you're all done. Do you want to do this? Yes, totally, Professor. Excellent, good. I'll make arrangements. Then please, hold out your wands and swear upon it, so mote it be. So mote it be.
Oh, hey, let's use something that doesn't exist to try to put some fake gravitas in here.
Hey, do you have a book about duels? I'll save you the trouble, Miss Granger. I have all the information I need to tell you right now. Do you wish to bet property? Yes, I do wish to bet property. I have a marriage contract.
Oh, how convenient that he's, doing that.
That would be a property you own. Dumbledore smiled at this information. And since it's your only form of property, that's what you have to put forward. Mr. Potter will then have to put up his marriage contract. I don't have a marriage contract, Professor. Oh, you do, Harry? With me, said Susan Bones. His jaw dropped. He had an arranged marriage, too. He didn't even know who Susan was. His parents made it before they died? What made Susan so special? He had a million questions. At his look of shock, Dumbledore took it in stride. You are correct, Miss Bones. He is in fact betrothed to you from a marriage contract. Well then, I suppose by default Mr. Potter is obligated to accept, since you just volunteered the contract.
Yeah, sure, that checks out.
This isn't fucked at all. Nope, not the slightest.
I don't understand this at all. Alright, so we can only have a duel if you both have property. Ah, well, I have property. Alright, what's your property? The marriage contract. Oh, of course, that is suitable property. Now, you will just have to put up your own property of equal value, Potter. I don't have any property of value. Actually, you do, says the third person. You have a marriage contract with me. Ah, well, thank you, Susan, for volunteering your marriage contract. Well, Harry, it seems you have to duel now.
What about the giant piles of gold?
No, shh.
What about the house that he owns?
He doesn't own a house.
Well, oh yeah, he doesn't yet, because a certain person hasn't died yet, so.
Yes. Alright, so, what the freak is going on here? Harry demanded angrily. Dumbledore had the nerve to chuckle. As I explained, you're dueling Mr. Malfoy for a marriage contract. Harry got mad. How can someone be betrothed to two people at once? Yes, Hermione asking the important questions. In Wizarding Society, Dumbledore explained, we're all retarded and he can have as many house contracts as he wants.
Listen, it doesn't matter how horribly messed up the children are, as long as they exist.
It's an ancient custom that was never rescinded, but houses like Malfoys and Potters can have infinite marriage contracts. Malfoys and Potters are on the same level, eh? Okay, yeah. One of them was there since the Roman times. The other one came 2 generations ago from France after they got kicked out.
For being bad people.
Yes. Sirius dies, Dumbledore dies, Snape dies, they shoot Old Yeller. Han dies.
Well, can't say that he doesn't deserve it.
That about covers it.
Do we want to get to the actual duel to laugh at how poorly written it is?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Yep.
Neat.
Let's see. So anyway, Wizarding Society. Well, I'll just have to work out the details then. And then Dumbledore left. Now, keep in mind of the following dialogue. Everyone here is 10 years old. 11, sorry. You ready for this? Malfoy looks right at Susan and then tells her it will be nice to own you as well. Yeah. The 11-year-old turns to another 11-year-old and says, "Boy, it sure is going to be fun owning you."
Because that's how that works.
That's what 11-year-olds say.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say that is how 11-year-olds work. I've been on Xbox Live.
Okay, yes, but there is a difference between being excited at completely beating someone at a video game and literally owning them as if they were property.
No, I'm just saying, 11-year-olds will say some pretty dumb, horrible, offensive stuff.
That's fair enough, I suppose.
Or stuff that they think is dumb, horrible, and offensive. They think if they just keep saying the N-word and saying that they had sex with my mother, I'll get angry.
I mean, that does work on a certain audience.
I mean, stupid people.
Yes, let's go with that. Let's see. Blah blah. Malfoy. Susan sent him a glare. I'll enjoy seeing the look on the face when you lose. What? Okay, so then everyone walked away. And Harry's just standing right there, going, "Oh man, I only know how to do flipendo." You're totally gonna beat Malfoy. There's no way the boy who loses to that boy who lived loses to that peacock. Ron, I don't even know how to cast spells. I don't even know how to duel. Come on, Harry, stop with the act. It's really starting to get annoying. What act? This fake pretending you have no knowledge about anything works, or how to do magic. You obviously are super powerful if you were able to beat you-know-who. So I just wish you would just cut it out and prove how powerful you really are. Ron, I don't have superpowers. I have no idea how I'm going to win this duel. Oh, I see. You're still pretending even now. You will probably just show off your great skills at the duel. In fact, I reckon you and Dumbledore planned all of this. Why on earth would I plan this? Because you're the boy who lived. You might as well be the boy who scored as well. Oh my god. These are 11-year-olds. I can't tell if the author is extremely accurate what he's saying, or just has never been around children. It's really hard.
It could be both.
Look, I don't remember a lot of 11-year-olds talking about sex. That typically was around let's see. That was typically around 13, 14, 15.
I was gonna say, look, if even Jersey wasn't quite that trash, I really doubt Wizarding Britain is.
Well, I mean, not even Jersey was talking about, like, not even my peers were talking about sex until around 9th grade. Like, that's when I started hearing a lot about it from my peers.
Yeah.
So it's just like, these 11-year-olds. Oh, anyway, blah blah blah. I'd like you to give me money when you win. I'm sorry, Ron, but I thought you would have understood me by now. As for being my second, I'd rather have someone else do it if you're gonna be like this. Is that really how you want to treat your best and only friend? Let's face it, you need me. What's the big deal? Just give me a few hundred galleons and nothing needs to be said. It'll be like a drop in the ocean compared to the vast wealth you'll be getting. Okay, what?
Okay, A, he doesn't need money. He is already filthy rich.
I mean, not only that, I actually did sit down and going by the movie statistics, calculated that Harry has at minimum around 30k gold in his trust vault.
Minimum.
Minimum. I didn't get the depth of the room, which is the only problem. I was only able to count the height of the coins, the thickness of the coins, and the width of the room and how many coins there were in piles. Yeah, so I wasn't able to tell like how deep the piles were. All right, see you, Arn.
See
Well,
you.
there goes Arn.
But yes, 100 gold is very little for Harry Potter, but it's just like.
Well, and remember, that was one vault.
Well, as far as we're concerned, that's his only vault in canon. Like he doesn't have another vault, as far as we know in canon.
That's what you think.
Yeet dabs this story. Okay.
What the fuck?
Blah 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 blah. No, Ron, I won't be doing that. Fine, find yourself a different second. And he looked at Susan. Hello, I'm sorry to bother you. Sorry you got into this mess. Blah blah. To be honest, Harry, I have no idea why I did anything. Just a voice made me do it. I had no control over my body. So Dumbledore used the Imperious on Susan to make her talk about the marriage contract? Yes, he's doing that. Oh. I see. Okay. Don't
Whatever.
worry. Don't worry, Harry. I know some spells. I can teach you them. I have an invested interest in you, after all. I am betrothed to you. Blah blah. Should we talk about that? I'm not sure if that's a good idea. We still have to prepare you for the duel. We can discuss it after you win. I think I will know how you feel before I go fight for you, even if it's entirely probable that I lose you to Malfoy. She gave him a blistering look. Don't you ever say that. You'll win. I know you will. If you really want to know how I feel about this, I knew all along I was betrothed to somebody. Most wizards and witches are, especially that come from ancient magical houses. Blah 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 blah. I at least hoped you were a good person. You seem way better than Malfoy. Blah blah. Harry's mind shut down when Susan started giving him compliments, and blah blah blah. He would never be able to find love because his life was already mapped out for him. Oh, sorry, Susan, I was ignoring you. It's just a lot to take in. Again, why is 11-year-old Harry thinking about finding love? Like,
Dude, 11-year-old Harry is concerned with chocolate frogs and not getting,
like 17-year-old Harry didn't even find his dick. Like, he didn't even find his dick until, like, year 8. Like, seriously, though. I exaggerate, but still. Anyway, so blah blah blah, words, 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 words. Don't lose me to Malfoy. Let's be friends, okay, blah blah blah. And he was listening to Susan's advice, blah blah, Dumbledore's eating dinner. The fact that he had to secretly imperious young Miss Bones or goad both participants into having it, into having the duel, was just as planned. It was for the greater good. Draco would lose the marriage contract, Harry, blah blah blah, he would gain greater political control for the greater good. He had already instructed the house elves to lace all of the goblets at the Gryffindor house table with magical strengthening potions, along with magical undetectable shield potions that would make all the spells that hit Harry weak. With the potion being in every goblet, meant that there was no way Harry would miss, no matter where he sat from, and he would definitely be drinking the potion. Blah blah blah. Boy who lived. Watching him fill his goblet and take a drink, only Hagrid interrupted him and started talking about unicorns. Hagrid needed to pull himself together. It was only a unicorn. Hagrid was such a crybaby, Dumbledore thought. And then trying to be nice, he was talking to Hagrid. And then he looked back to Harry, and Harry was starting to eat food. Blah blah blah. A girl with blonde pigtails and blue eyes came up to him. I was about to serve myself, he admitted. I originally planned on giving this food to Susan since I figured she might be getting dinner late. But apparently Aloys had the same idea, so I got left with an extra plate of food. I figured you could have this plate of food. Hey, thank you for this plate of food, even though there's food right in front of me. No problem. You better win, Harry. I hate to have to see Susan marry Malfoy. It's okay. I'll definitely win. Hannah smiled at him.
What is he, a fucking anime protagonist?
Dumbledore would turn back to watch Harry and grin as he watched the boy drink from his glass, none the wiser that Harry had never drank the glass. What? Blah blah blah, dinner, blah blah blah, students and faculty, we have a big wizard duel, we have never had a real duel, so I'm gonna exposition. Malfoy smirked at Susan again, I'll be owning you, don't count on it, and blah blah, Incarcerus. Fortunately, Harry had been taught how to dodge, and so therefore he can just dodge now. And then he shouts Expelliarmus, and then Malfoy turned out to be an idiot and also dodged it. And they really were trained in dueling. And then they began firing spells at each other and dodging the spells. He tried firing off a few disarming spells, and one of them actually hit Malfoy, but it was too weak to do anything. And then Malfoy taunted Harry, and then Harry got mad, and then he shot another spell at Malfoy, and it hit Malfoy, and it made his wand shake, and then Harry thought he was going to lose it. However, Malfoy was too strong. As a reward, Malfoy cursed his arms, calling him to fall backwards with pain. He got up and started fighting, grateful it had been his non-wand arm that was injured. This time he cast the only spell he knew besides everything else he cast, which was Flipendo, which basically flipped stuff.
Boy, if only someone had ever taught Harry literally any other kind of offensive spell.
It was only then that he remembered Flipendo did not work on people, only objects, and since there was no objects in the dueling arena, nor did he have the ability to conjure any, it was useless. And then that was all the spells he knew. A bludgeoning curse, that's a bone breaker almost, disarming spell, and Flipendo, and stupefy. Stupefy, Malfoy managed to yell, which he managed to duck under, which he felt blowing past his hair.
You okay there, Sneaky? Sounds like you're dying.
Blah 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 blah. With the small, if he actually got hit, it would be over. But people had faith in him. And then he got hit by a bludgeoning curse and was blown backwards to the edge of the dueling arena. And sensing weakness, Malfoy moved in. He was soon dismayed to realize he sprained his ankle. While he was sure it could be fixed, he had problems now. He got back up only to immediately fall over, which allowed him to dodge another spell shot at him. Everything was over. Malfoy was closing in. And then all he had was a spell he didn't even know how to use. Or did he? And then he had a brilliant idea. And then Harry cast Flipendo. And the Flipendo spell hit Malfoy's wand and flipped his wand in the air. And because Harry did this while Malfoy was casting Stupefy, the wand went off while it was flipping in air, pointed at Malfoy, and stunned Malfoy instead. Because, you know, wands are just guns, guys.
So I
I feel
see,
like
the
Harry
wizards
Potter
have discovered the ancient power of gun.
I feel like those books would have been way more interesting if that's what they actually were.
Every 11-year-old...
Anti-material wand?
Every child is issued a starter 22 caliber magic pistol.
That would make things more interesting, that's for dang sure.
And slowly by 8th year, they work their way up to the adult anti-material rifle.
The wizarding world is evolved into who can develop the best sniping spell.
Exactly. Molly takes out her dual Colt commandos and fires at the oven to make it go faster. You shoot at the dust to clean up the house.
No, see, what you're actually doing is threatening the dust to get the hell out of your house. Because you have a weapon.
I get behind that sort of AU. To clean the dishes, you just go full auto on the sink. And all the dishes come out clean.
Daka, daka, daka.
Anyway, so the wand goes off in midair, unconnected to Malfoy, still casting his spell though. And then everyone's like, OMG, and started to applaud. And then he got hit by two girls who were temporarily missiles. And the first was Susan, and then to his surprise, the other was Pansy, who was also embarrassed and surprised. But she really didn't care, and so she hugged him again. And then he looked over at Dumbledore, and Dumbledore said, the winner of the duel is Harry Potter. And then looking over at Malfoy, who had now been revived, looked confused. But when he figured out what had happened to him, he turned to anger. How could I lose to that son of a mudblood? No Malfoy ever loses duels. And they certainly don't lose their marriage contract to scum.
Yeah. Okay, then.
And then Harry's ankle hurt and stuff. Nothing I can't heal in 2 seconds, and then she healed the ankle. It took some maneuvering, and he finally got out of the crowd. And then Susan said, I would congratulate you, but everyone else did it already. I was super scared that Malfoy would own us. Yeah, we were totally scared. And we love you now that you didn't lose the Malfoy. You saved us. Yay! I had faith in Harry that he would win the duel and save us both. And they were hugging. Oh, come on, Harry. You gotta join this hug between the two of us girls. And then he did. And he had no idea what his future would hold, but his future would definitely be interesting.
These seem like some really thirsty 11-year-olds, I gotta say.
Yep. Alright, so we have about 45 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you guys right now, and I'm going to take like a quick little break while I mix myself up a drink. Do you want to do Familiar of Zero or a Fate Stay Night Wormcross?
I hate both of those. But I guess I'll take Fate Stay Night because I like No, just fuck it. I don't care. Fate Stay Night.
Alright, well then everyone in the chat vote as well. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, all 5 of you.
Hey, 1-0.
That is a correct statement. Somebody sent me.
Okay, well, it's just us at the moment.
Yep. We are the only ones here. God, I wish I could be more entertaining, but I don't like any of you. Try.
Oh, well, we have a single vote for,
Hey, somebody
Familiar
actually
Zero.
bothered to vote. Thank you. Throwing a little shade at Familiar of Zero, I see.
That's 2 for FOZ.
And Max, what's your vote? What do you feel? What brand of torture do you feel like inflicting on yourself today?
I do not care.
You heard it here first, folks. Max doesn't care how you torture him.
Alright, so I have good news and I have bad news.
You will be hearing from my lawyers, Mr. Atin.
No. The good news...
You can't fucking afford lawyers, and I know it.
The good news is,
I'll be able to afford them after the lawsuit.
I actually don't have any good news.
You think I have money to get from a lawsuit?
The bad news is that I realized because I am a reclusive shut-in, I forgot to pick up more orange juice, so I can't make my mixed drinks.
Good job.
The upside, though, is that I found this bottle of rum in the back of the freezer.
Sneaky no.
I worry about him.
Folks, donate now to fund mine and Max's eventual trip to Vermont, where we have to, be the ones to identify the corpse, because God knows his family won't bother.
Oh God, they probably won't. Oh.
I was being serious about that, Max. We both know they won't.
I know. That's where I just agreed.
Got a shot glass. Let's do this. Alright, so what do we have for votes? Familiar of Zero?
Yeah, 2 Familiar of Zeros.
Alright, and At1 to do the Fate Stay Night. What about you, Max?
Max said he doesn't care.
Alright, so what we're gonna do then is we're gonna do Familiar of Zero. Alright, there you go. Fate of a World. Tristane faces trying times as Princess Henrietta's arranged marriage is cancelled. Albion has fallen to Reconquista, and the fate of Tristane hangs in the balance. Maybe even Algankia's. Yet the unexpected happened. Will this be their salvation or their doom?
Also, I will say this minor note: I was incredibly annoyed because for some reason there aren't any translated light novel for Familiar of Zero.
No, the only thing we have are the manga.
Oh, then I will just accidentally drop a link that may or may not contain the entirety of Familiar Zero has been translated.
I
Accidentally,
may
of
or
course.
may not choose to look at that.
And I cannot confirm where that link may lead, but it definitely doesn't link to anything that is breaking any terms of service. Alright, so this is Prologue, Trying Times. And disclaimer.
I tried to give you... I genuinely tried to give you people my money.
Familiar Zero belongs to blah 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 blah. Here's the revised beginning of... Oh, revised begin... Oh, no. Oh, guys.
Why is it that... I don't think we've ever seen a story where it's been like, this is the revised version, and we're like, boy, that's pretty good.
I mean, our Dark Souls story, but Max would probably call it shit.
I mean...
It's not the worst I've seen.
I mean, Max, that is no longer a fair statement. Because we do this podcast.
Ignoring this podcast, it's not the worst I've seen.
Okay.
So basically normal, because he just ignores his podcast anyway.
No, I ignore the podcast like 20% of the time, sir.
It's been trying times for Princess
I'd say it's a little higher than that.
Heiress to the throne of Tristane, outside the two moons of Halgania, shone brightly in the night sky above the capital of Tristaniania. Sitting in her royal bedroom and gazing out the window as she mused at the events of the past weeks and months. She had lost so much. Her beloved Wales had fallen to a traitor's blade in front of her oldest and most loyal friend's eyes. To add more pain, the traitor, Jean Jacques Wards, had escaped with her love letter. The ensuing scandal had cost her political wedding to Germania's heir apparent and left her kingdom defenseless. Now that the proposed alliance was gone, her Regency Council had been doing its best to keep their power on her, trying to usurp her authority, and Henrietta suspected that some of them had been lining their pockets with the kingdom's taxes and treasury, but couldn't take direct action yet. It also limited her options to defend Tristane. She had tried to gain more forces under her direct control, but she had very little faith in the loyalties of the many lords and their armies. She had few staunch allies in the court of Tristania. Her Regency Council didn't allow her to openly raise her own armies because it was beneath her status as a queen.
What kind of backwards ass... It is beneath the queen's dignity to have an army. What? Listen here. I didn't kill 30 people to sit on a throne and not have my own personal army.
Alright then. Despite that, she did have a few allies, such as the De La Valeries, and the Gramont, and the Manticore Knights, and the Griffin Guard.
Boy, that sounds like a lot that you could... Boy, those sound like some elite units that you could really crack a few skulls with.
I know, right? Boy, no, I don't have the general army. Good thing I have all of our special forces loyal to me, though.
A good thing I have some of the most disgustingly powerful mages willing to work for me.
Even if she doubted that Albert of Germania would respect her kingdom's independence, Henrietta couldn't help but fear for her people's safety. At least the Germanians would have defended Tristane from their enemies. Albion had fallen to a revolutionary group called Reconquista, who wanted to conquer the continent for the rest of Halgangia, and their claws were being sharpened, and the princess knew in her heart that their next prey, incorrect prey, was her small kingdom. Okay, so first off, you know how Reconquista beat Albion? It's because the nobles there were extremely corrupt, and the king was awful, and they used that to galvanize the common man against the nobles. So, hear me out here. They don't have that many nobles anymore, which means they are missing a good portion of the magical equivalent of artillery and bombs and reinforced walls and crap, you know? Like, they actually have to build that shit by hand. Well, literally every other country can just build that shit by magic. So, they're going to have minor issues on that end. They're going to have logistical issues because they killed a shit ton of people that, you know, even if they were corrupt, had logistics. So the...
Yeah, I was gonna say, see, that's always the problem when you do a purge of noble. Like, even if they are the most corrupt asshole in the universe, they are still running a fief. They might be running it poorly, but they are running it.
And the problem here is that the solution to the Reconquista problem is easy, because they're not going to beat you in a full-on war, even if they tried. It's literally the case of the machine gun, the rotating barrel machine gun, versus cavalry when it was first introduced. The cavalry got gunned down. And
that was funny.
Literally, she has special forces which have some of the strongest mages in her country, supposedly, in them. And they have swords and spears. They're gonna lose if they try to attack. This is something I never understood about the canon of FOZ. It's so nonsensical. And on top of all of this, it's just like, all you have to do to make sure they can't, like, sabotage you is crack down on corruption and make a show. Not like, you don't even have to solve the problem. You just have to make the common people look at you and go, "Yeah, she's trying to fix the issue. We're not gonna revolt and kill her." Like,
yeah.
you don't even have to fix the issue. You just have to look like you're fixing the issue.
Well, and the other thing is you can kind of fix the issue if you just, oh, hey, you know, this guy here, yeah, you're the one we found that was guilty of the most corruption. We're going to make an example of you, and then mention the other investigations ongoing.
So we found this dude was literally selling out the country to somebody else. So we killed him, Vlad the Impaler style. Of course, it won't be Vlad the Impaler style. It'll be an invented style.
Death by magical self-combustion. But still,
so, Steve, we found out that if you keep healing someone, you can keep stabbing them for a really long time. He's currently on day 843 of consecutive stabbings.
Easy there, Zeus.
Oh. That begs the question, why have you held on to him for 2.5 years?
We needed to be sure that the message was understood.
Look, everyone got into a line, and they all took turns stabbing the guy. And, you know, you can only fit so many people per day.
The entirety of the population.
Yeah.
It was actually made a civic duty, like showing up to court.
Or like that eagle that, you know, ate Prometheus' liver.
So what? Like, every so often they just get a letter, and it's like, oh, well, I need my 2 weeks off, boss. Why? I've been called for knife duty.
I've been called for knife duty. Yes.
And the important thing is you got to get the kids started on it early so they don't get squeamish about it. As soon as they hit 12, that's it. They get their first tour of knife and duty.
It's terrible.
Look, all I'm saying is it would keep the nobles in line.
You stabbed me!
Betray your country and get a fabulous pile of money. No way, I ain't risking knife duty.
You stabbed me. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You stabbed me with that knife right there. You don't have a wound? It's because it healed.
I think I need to check a few more times. Gotta be sure. It's my civic duty after all.
Replace every knife with a knife that heals people when they're cut. Knife crime goes down to 0.
Okay, listen. If, what was it? I can't think. if I can get healing bullets in the Old Republic, you bet I can get healing knives.
This is my healing knife. Sir, please don't stab me with that.
Now hold still. Okay, listen, you're going blind, so hold still while I put this knife in your eye. I promise it'll fix the problem.
Hold on, I gotta cut your eyes out to fix them. Anyway. Troubled times.
Now that we've been put on several lists.
Troubled times and darkness, dark things, dark. And blah blah blah. Valerie and Saito, and they had adventures together, and they have a relationship together. Are you cold, Louise? No, I'm not cold at all, but she was totally cold. And Saito teased from his mattress on the floor, you sound cold. Stupid familiar, do you want a good night kiss? I'm a generous master and you've been a good dog lately. And she threw off her sheets and Saito...
Isn't this just canon?
What?
This scene, isn't this just like...
Oh, it's likely, yeah.
Season 2?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
It's been a very long time since I've read Familiar Zero, and I never watched the anime. I'll let you sleep with me tonight. It'll be my pleasure. You don't have to get so close to me, though. And they both fell asleep. Flashback time. Blah, 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 canon. Blah, 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 canon. You're a slave to me now. That's illegal in Japan. Japan, aren't we in Japan? I don't know what you're talking about. We're interesting. Magic, there's no such thing as magic. Blah blah, canon.
Now see,
canon.
This wouldn't work on an American thanks to the power of the amendments, which everyone knows are magic.
Exactly. They were bestowed upon us by the four founders, who are demigods.
Of course. Everyone knows that. That's why America's the greatest. We were built with magic.
Checks out. Blah 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 blah. Canon, probably canon. Oh, and then Saito comes back and apologizes, which is also probably canon. It's been a long time. Blah 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 blah. End flashback? Question mark. And Saito's hugging her. Unhand me, you dog. Saito, what are you doing? We're bathing. How did you find me? Siesta told me you're... Oh, it's just a bunch of flashbacks of their progressing relationship because she's totally crushing on him now. And blah, blah, blah. You okay, Louise? Can I come in? Yes. Let's not talk about what I saw. Luis was now dreaming about the Saito and blah blah blah, rehashing canon probably. I really don't care. Like, okay, look, if you're gonna be like, alright, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start the story in season 2. But I'm gonna spend the first chapter basically going, it's dark, super grim dark derp. And then rehash the entirety of season 1 canon in like little tiny snippet flashback memory dreams. Anyway.
I'm bored. I'm gonna go take a nap now. Cause this is... no, there's nothing interesting here.
An earthquake happened in Ottawa, and, it's a portal. A portal opened up in Ottawa.
Is it portal to hell?
No, it's a portal to,
Oh, I was hoping the Doomslayer was gonna pop out in Ottawa.
No, it's a gate, you know. It's a gate from Ottawa to, Tristane.
Max,
Also,
what is this abomination you've sent me?
It's another version of the Extreme Gundam that we found.
So I'm not going to read this chapter, but what this story basically amounts to is a gate opens up in both Ottawa, Canada, and Washington, D.C., USA. And Trump...
Oh, so now we're just reading gate. Got it.
And then Henrietta contacts both Trump and Trudeau to make defense pacts with them. And they agree. And then it's the Canadian-U.S. joint forces are gonna
Okay, look,
fight the rest of Helginkia.
Look, I really don't enjoy getting into politics, but I'm pretty sure we would just start annexing them. And I support that. I say not enough countries are imperialistic these days. We need to be exploring other dimensions and making them ours.
We need to manifest our destiny in other dimensions.
A continent is not enough.
No.
I demand a dimension.
Max, meanwhile, no, please stop.
No, Max is trying to think of how he can get in on this. Because everybody knows there's money to be made when you're exploiting indigenous peoples.
That, no, we need to stop.
Wait, are you trying to say that you can't make money by exploiting people? Because sweatshops would beg to differ.
I cannot morally agree.
Alright, so good news,
I'm not asking
guys.
you to morally... Max, I'm not asking you to morally agree. I'm just asking you to agree with my friend, Mr. Franklin.
Anyway, Max, good news.
I
Atin,
think Mr.
good
Franklin
news.
also wants to morally agree. Well, actually...
Good news, everybody. We went through that chapter so quickly, we get to do more.
I hate you. This is like getting your work done at work while Fred just sits there watching Minecraft videos, and then you get handed all of Fred's work.
Sounds normal to me.
I don't like rum.
Aren't you supposed to mix rum with other things?
Yeah.
This sounds like your fault.
Yeah, it is.
So long as you understand.
He understands that he's an idiot. He just doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, more or less. Alright. Mysteries and Magecraft. At least Mirrodin and several groups are convinced superpowers are magic. In this case, it really is magic, except not magic as it seems. Then again, was there any cape that had the power to have 10 separate people who could kick half the entire force 7 ways to Sunday fall under one power set? Warning, this fic will go into character death by canon law.
Seems dumb.
So let me get this straight. You got a person, summon 10 servants, and on top of that, the only characters that are going to die are the ones that died in canon. That sounds dumb. Like, that sounds like literally nothing changes. That sounds just really dumb. Alright, well, let's get going.
I don't want to.
A prologue, and then there were 10. Armsmaster drove his Thinkatek motorcycle through the streets towards a reported sighting of a potential cape, with several BRT vans a mile behind him. Zooming through the streets of the night, he drifted and slid his bike onto the ground as he dismounted his ride. Walking towards the large 2-story building, he heard faint sounds of screams within the structure. Bringing his halberd to bear in front of him, he charged and kicked down the front door, to an interesting sight. They were all naked, having sex. That was a joke, by the way.
I know, I just don't think it's funny.
Most of the floor was covered in bodies and blood. Armsmaster identified the intact ones to be Empire goons. Parts of limbs, heads, and torsos were shown, with blade wounds with some parts attached to a wall and several inches of steel embedded in them. The woman in particular had their entire reproductive system dissected. Oh, so Jackie got summoned, okay.
Great.
Anyway, so blah 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 blah. He's searching around the house, and then he found a small child holding knives, and it's Jackie. You're not welcome here, the girl spoke, and then she faded into mist. He growled, activate Master Stranger protocols. Everything he designed to fight tricky kinds of capes came online and told him to duck. And so he did, and then the attack went over his head. Moving swiftly, he thrust his weapon ahead of him and heard a clang through the
See,
mist.
this
He
is
could
the
see a
one thing
child.
Armsmaster didn't do that Batman did, which is why he keeps losing.
Oh?
Batman was like, I am not smart enough, and I can't react fast enough to fight the Flash, but I'm rich enough to buy a computer that can. And in Armsmaster's case, he's clever enough to miniaturize enough computers that he could. Like, he shouldn't be having the armor tell him to duck. The armor should just duck.
Whatever, it's a stupid story that starts off with Jackie killing a shit ton of people.
For some stupid reason.
Anyway, so they're fighting, and he's stabbing at her, and she's blocking, and she's stabbing at him, and he's dodging. And then blah 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 blah. The fight continues. Blah 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 blah. This is Armsmaster of the PRT. It's safe to come out. The hostile cape is gone. He spoke with a monotone voice for the public, and then everything was silent until he heard the sounds of someone quickly drinking something. He had no time to react when he felt the punch on his chest that sent him flying. Tinker landed on his feet and stabbed his halberd into the ground as he wheezed in pain. The force of the punch was enough to break his armor and crack a rib. And then a guy came out. And then a guy came out of the building, and his face was covered in slashes, and he oozed madness, and his name was Dr. Hyde. The caster servant, I guess. Or berserker servant. Really could be either way. And then
no, so
berserker.
he's both. Like, Hyde is a caster, or is it Jekyll? Whichever
Jekyll.
the no.
He's the caster. Then.
Yeah, Jekyll's the caster, Hyde's a berserker.
And they're fighting Hyde, and Hyde's beating them up, and Hyde's glowing red now. And the last thing he knew was him blacking out, and then someone yelled his name, and then bullets started flying. And then Armsmaster woke up in the hospital ward at 2 a.m. in the morning, groaning in pain. Blah blah blah, yeah, I know, I'll be here for a few hours, blah blah blah. Only reason why you're still in there is I'm being generous, blah blah, good morning, blah blah blah. I'll be monitoring your recovery, concussion,
I'm gonna
cracked
get dinner.
skull,
I'll be back.
fractured ribs, blah blah blah. Panacea isn't coming to heal you since it's her day off. We all knew what that means. Which is false. Panacea doesn't take days off. Because, you know.
No, that. In fact, wasn't that a big part of her character arc? Like, she's super stressed out because she doesn't take a day off because of...
she forces herself to constantly heal because she believes that's what a hero would do. So, yeah. Oh man, I can't tinker today. I missed my workshop already. You'll have to stay here tomorrow. Blah blah blah. Vials of color. The doctor is going through a set of vials, and he hands Colin a vial and says, "Drink this. It'll reduce your pain. It's also very bitter. So try not to throw it up." And then Colin drank the vial, and it was bitter. Are you a tinker? He asked the doctor. I am licensed in creating my medicines. It's merely a simple mundane of making it a bit more potent than ordinary painkillers. No, I'm not a cape. Now we'll wait for you to recover. And then Colin realized his name tag said his name was Dr. Jekyll.
Your jokes are bad. Unless it's meant to be serious.
Although that was serious. It's Dr. Jekyll. And Berserker is now in a warehouse waiting for the other ones. And then he became my patient. I know my luck isn't much, but it's working the opposite way. The hero you beat in your split personality becomes your other side's responsibility. The doctor side. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for listening to me rant. Blah, blah, blah. For a foreigner class servant, you're not all that bad. She built her own keyboard for some reason. Foreigner closed her eyes and allowed her mind to flow free. She began observing the city. She stopped when she felt a familiar command. Thanks to Censored giving her a chance, she now has no obligation to follow it, but it didn't make it easy to resist. Foreigner felt out the intrusion and forced it out. When it stopped, she checked her mind again and relaxed. I want to be free. Mental images of her friends followed. Just a little bit longer. Archer is irritated. Jesus Christ, this is just so fucking boring. Max, so what's your opinion on Fate's Day fanfiction? When they use like Archer and Berserker and shit when it's like private. Not like, middle of combat or something, but like private when it's this, Archer is alone thinking about shit to themselves, but they keep using Archer to refer to themselves as. Do you wish the author just used their name, or do you think they should continue using the servant container name?
That depends on the servant, because some of the servants just say, "Yeah, no, this is just my name," until I either win the war or I lose it.
Fair enough.
So, like Lancer Coup would probably just continue to call himself Lancer. Whereas I could see Caster maybe referring to herself as Medea in private. It
Because
very much depends on the servant and what we've
yeah.
seen of them.
It's just really annoying sometimes when the author's just like, here's some hints, here's some more hints, this is what the servant is, and I'm just like, I don't fucking care about guessing who the servant is. Just tell me. Don't try and make it some big reveal when I really don't give two shits about your original character servants that you're introducing, or servants you saw off of Fate Grand Order that you're introducing. I don't care. I don't care at all. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
But they continuously just try and be like, oh, here's some more hints who it might be. It's just. Anyway, blah 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 blah, bodies, blah 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 blah. He was wearing a police uniform, pulled out a phone, and he called someone. Assassin was brutal tonight. She didn't hold back. The child couldn't stop moving. She broke into my office and fell asleep on my desk. I had to hide her in a filing cabinet.
Well, the
Archer. Yeah,
assassin is probably Jackie then.
yeah. I told you, Assassin was Jackie.
Mate, I zoned out. Like, you're getting bored reading this, I'm getting bored listening to it.
That's fair enough. Archer, are you sure you can't get her by yourself? Archer grunted no. The only one assassin listens to is Caster. She's going out to Ryder in the docks. Lancer is picking groceries. Alter is out of the city. Berserker is working. Ruler went out and scouting. Foreigner definitely cannot leave the base. Sorry, Saber, you have to bring our little killer home. He heard a sigh. I suppose getting to the top of the corporate ladder means something bad will happen. Nonetheless, she'll be back by dusk, I'll be sure of it. After I finish this paperwork. Apparently these people just joined up without any backstory or history. Okay, sure.
That's man. Part of this power better be they also came with like reality altering paperwork.
Because, you know, the police just hire anyone. That's how the police work.
I feel like Brockton Bay Police probably would. Let's be honest here.
Man, if only our Chicago representative could tell us. Saber was big man, but not super tall, not super tall, but noticeably fat because he had a big torso.
Huh.
Well, there's a difference between, wow, that guy's big, because, you know, he's just big, and wow, that guy's big, because he's fat. Like, with guys, there is a noticeable difference between the two. One looks like drunk Uncle John, and the other guy looks like he could break you in half.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who this is supposed to be. Based on him having the golden rule skill, but I don't think the caster is Gilles de Reyes or Siegfried. Just a thought.
I mean, Alter is probably going to be, Alter and Ruler are likely going to be frickin' what's-her-face, Jean d'Arc.
Alter's either going to be Saber Alter or Jean Alter, and the Ruler is very... Actually, I think there's only 2 rulers, so it's like a 50-50 shot. It's just going to be Jean. How many rulers are there?
Not many. Enough that there's 3
Oh.
quarters. Blah blah blah. Losing time reading. Blah blah blah. It took steel balls to make another hospital in a crime-riddled city, which grew in reputation and staff quickly. He had golden rule and Aaron's charisma. Blah blah blah. Running country years ago was easy compared to this, and saw assassins sleeping on a beanbag curled up like a cat in her servant clothes. Thankfully, you're very light. Blah blah blah. Went to the elevator. Young woman. The heave. The wreck was Wheeler's vehicles. A gunboat. Blah blah. Looking at the man's face, she saw he wasn't all there. Snapped his fingers. Sorry, you remind me of someone. It's fine. You remind me of my dad. Birds of a feather then. My name's Danny. What are you doing here for? Waiting for someone. Last I saw, they were needing work. I'm a dock worker too. Someone not from town invested in docks. Said she wanted to make Leviathan eat its own threats. The woman raised an eye. How does she plan to do that? She's searching for damaged shipyards and trying to fix them. If I can repair them, I can do it to the others. I'm flattered you think of me like that. It does fit me quite well. They both saw a busty, crimson, pink-haired woman wearing a red shirt with the captions "Bling" on it.
That would be Drake. Yeah, that would be writer Francis Drake.
They looked at each other in surprise. The pinkette grinned. Damn, Kiara, you didn't tell me you were dating. Danny sputtered while Kiara looked mortified. I don't fucking know who Kiara is or care. Not a bad catch. I'm not dating anyone. Besides, he's much older than me. I'm not interested in you. Good luck with the ferry. Blah blah. I didn't expect that. Blah blah. Hard to be a girl in this era when you acted like a guy. What's the term again? Tomboy? Let's go check back at base, Ryder. Think Alter is here to check on something. Alter was looking at her code that she was typing as she was hacking the PRT. She then possessed a nearby camera to watch the first responders. And she watched as one of the men hacked the PRT himself using a USB and a TinkerTech laptop.
Oh, is that so?
And then she broke into his laptop and destroyed all the security systems and replaced them with her own, with backdoors in them. And she did all this in 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
And she smirked at this. And then she's been doing this to every single mole that existed. And she was really interested in the files about the chief director. Back in her base, Foreigner snorted in amusement as she watched Alter's current body twitch. Lancer hid himself behind a wall. Listen, I'm the one who makes bombs, blah blah blah. Get back to work. He's following Bakuda. Oh, you're kidding me? She's stripping. Why am I watching this? Bakuda was about to strip completely, and then she realized she had an open window. She went over to the window, and the servant tried to get out of his predicament, but Bakuda shut the window. From there, she just stood there, heading towards her bed. For a moment, he thought the woman would fall asleep, but again, but then she went to her dresser and pulled something out from it, and the next thing Lancer knew, she was on her bed moaning. Boy, Lancers just have the worst luck. Back at the base, Foreigner snickered at Lancer's fate. This is the one that Faceless is obsessed with. This is garbage story. This is fucking trash tier, boring yawn fest.
I don't know why we're still looking at this, if I'm being honest.
Cause we're gonna be done soon.
Surely this improves at some point.
No. Oh. Faceless isn't obsessed with this story. He's obsessed with Kiara, Heaven's Hole, aka the person who has sex with everyone until they die. Okay. That was, the Kiara earlier. So we got a Kiara Alter who wasn't interested in fucking everyone until they die? That's okay. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Ruler is looking for Coil, and she's trying to find Coil, and she's doing a decent job at finding Coil. And then he realized it was nearly time, and so he walks back into Winslow and combs his hair back and walks into the room. Good afternoon, class. I'll be your substitute teacher. Oh, sorry, I had a macula, not Winslow. Yes, Ruler is teaching at a school.
Wait, was it a male ruler?
Yeah, male Ruler.
That might be Shiroko Tamine then?
Probably, considering he was previously he's got a black shirt and pants with a red jacket.
With a red jacket, yeah, that's definitely Shiroko Tamine. The driving force behind Fate Apocrypha as well. I'm not gonna lie. I think it would have been more interesting if they'd gone with Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. In the middle of the night, one girl slept in a hospital. She dreamed about people. 10 people, along with her, saving the world. She saw a lot of things. A sword and a banner. Yeah, there's Jean. A gun with a cartridge. Billy the Kid. Spear and shield. It's quite a number of people. A vial and a pocket knife. Jekyll and Hyde and Jackie.
Shipload of
Francis Drake, a dark place filled with sounds.
Not sure about that one. Serrated set of knives is probably Jackie.
That's Jackie. A holy cross with a blade. That's probably Kiara. A USB and a metal plate. And a minor headache.
Her.
She was leading the group to victory. That night in the hospital, unaware of the world, she smiled. I'll fill that up when I actually write down the servants' names. It took me a while to make sure the first chapter didn't give the names of any of the characters. By the way, everyone's free to guess who they are. So you did it on purpose. This author literally did it on purpose to make sure people tried to guess. Oh!
Are you as upset as I am?
I'm exceedingly upset. Alright, well, the good news is this is 8:57, which means we are approaching the closing time, which means we really don't have anything else to say. I'm going to be uploading more of the videos over to the YouTube archive. I'm going to try, I keep saying this every single freaking time, I'm going to try and play more games. I've just been on a real bent recently, so it's been hard. But yeah, I'm going to try. Other than that, we'll see you next time, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesdays and Fridays. Because there's always more, and it always gets worse.